Hey, what's up guys? Chris Trini here for Kriscoart Productions. Let's jump into my bathroom.
Alright, there's definitely been a lot of requests on how to make this effect, so I'm really happy that I finally get to show you guys every detail that went into this visual effect. Now, I am very late on this video, so I apologize for that. Should have posted this a while ago. And no worries, I will give you shoutouts at the end of the video for those who know what I'm talking about. But anyways, for the rest of us, let's jump right into this and let's get started. So as you can see here, I've kind of divided all of the effects up into their own little groups. And by groups, I just mean their own composition. So you can see that the t-shirt scrolling effect, if I select the composition and I switch it on and off, you can see that all those effects are kind of grouped nicely in their own composition, as well as the mirror effects. So if I open up that composition, the one that has all this futuristic stuff on it, it's pretty much the whole idea behind it is that there's your mirror pretty much gives you your basic information such as news and weather and all this stuff in the morning when you first wake up. But anyways, as you can see here, to give it this nice little glow effect, I just created a circular mask over a like bluish solid and set it to add, and then the rest of it is just pretty much adding as much detail as you can without cluttering it up. So there's just a bunch of text layers, and also found these cool weather icons online. So I just kind of divided them up for every hour of the day, and then we have the bigger one behind the number. Something to keep in mind when you're doing futuristic stuff like this is you want to add as much detail as you can, but while still maintaining that that sleek and very clean look. So just a good source for inspiration is Apple. Their interfaces and all the Apple stuff is just always very clean. That's where I got inspiration for this stuff. As you can see, we got a little bit of extra detail of like some clouds going on in the background. You can see that all it is just a bunch of, actually just 4 images of these very pixelated clouds that have this parallax feel to them because I animate their position with different values. So essentially, some move faster than others, and that's how we get that parallax feel. Then I added a mask just to give it a little bit of a gradient so that it fades off, and that's pretty much what went into the main weather one. Let's look at the news one. Similar thing. Again, I just use solids and masks to kind of create these shapes and just text layers. To fit it into the mirror, all I did was, I used corner pin. If you have a moving shot, it might be a little bit more intricate than that. You might have to, track it in Mocha, so track it on that surface. I actually have a tutorial that covers exactly that you can find in the description or right here on the screen. And then other than that, I just add some glow, and I also added a little bit of camera lens blur. The reason why I added that is because, as you can see, I'm not perfectly sharp there, and even the mirror, if I were to focus on the mirror, it's not completely sharp. So I just added a little bit of blur just to match it with, how everything in real life isn't perfectly in focus. Now moving on to how I changed the shirts. It's actually really simple. All I did was just fade, as you can see here, I just fade one clip to the next one. So really what pulls this effect off isn't really, the visual effect aspect of it, but it's more of the performance. I don't mean my acting, because my acting doesn't seem... What I mean is, matching those movements, having those same exact gestures every time for every item of clothing. So you'll see in a second what I mean. I'll put all the videos side by side, but essentially you just want to get that, that pressing that button gesture or that motion of your hand in, in every shot that you do with all the different types of clothes. So here they are all, compared together. The timing is a little bit off in some of them, but you can really see that the gestures always stay the same. I'm always, wow, that looked ridiculous. I'm always like, pointing in the same spot, swiping in the same direction. Keep in mind the height. Use stuff on the mirror as reference, and then with simple cuts and maybe just fading the clips into each other just by a couple frames really sells that effect. So as far as the t-shirt scrolling effect, that again is very simple. All I had to do was just create a bunch of really long compositions, and I just stitched them up together. And if I open those individual compositions, you can see that it just contains a bunch of t-shirts. You want to keep in mind to add some of the t-shirts that your actor is actually going to be, swapping in and out of. So I've included, some of the t-shirts that you actually see me wearing in the video in here. So once you have all these compositions, just pretty much just stitch them together so that you have an even longer set of just t-shirts. And then all you need to do is create a track matte so that we only see a specific portion of this scrolling effect. So if I actually undo some of the work that I did here and I take out the track matte out of that one composition that we're seeing right now, you can see that it's just the composition that we previously saw. But now if I add a track matte, which all I did was pretty much just created a solid and added a rectangular mask to it with a lot of feathering, and then I pretty much use that as a mask to hide the rest of the stuff that we don't really want to see. So you see, if I set it to alpha matte, it pretty much just shows us the portion of the t-shirts that we want to see. Once you do that, pretty much just repeat the step for all the other compositions, but still keep the track matte in the same spot. And then parent all of those compositions to a null object and animate the position of that null object to go from side to side. And now you have a bunch of t-shirts scrolling through. Then all I had to do was bring this composition back into my main comp and pretty much just match the timing so that the scrolling actually matches with the hand gesture that I'm doing. Alright, so if you saw the original video to the very end, you notice that I try to do something called talking text, and it's just a way to interact with you guys a little bit more, and I might be doing this in my future videos. This is more of an experiment, but as promised, I want to give a shout out to all the people that actually stuck to the end of the video and that gave me the hashtag talking text. So here we go. Imagine Blank commented, "What an awesome idea, but I might be slightly creeped out by it being in my bathroom mirror. Hashtag talking text." I completely agree with you. I wouldn't want that, especially with our government and the NSA having the ability to even tap into our computers and our webcams. I can't imagine what they would do with a technology like that. So yeah, I agree with you. It'd be very scary.
Alright guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, please hit that like button. And if this is your first time on my channel, please hit subscribe. My name is Chris for Kriscoart Productions. I'll see you next time.